The next sutta is number 88, Bahitika Sutta, the cloak. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. Then when it was morning, Venerable Ananda dressed and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Savatthi for alms. When he had wandered for alms in Savatthi and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he went to the eastern park, to the palace of Migara's mother for the day's abiding. Now on that occasion, King Pasenadi of Kosala had mounted the elephant Eka Pundarika and was riding out of Savatthi at midday. He saw the Venerable Ananda coming in the distance and asked the minister Sirivada, "That is the Venerable Ananda, is it not?" "Yes, sire, that is the Venerable Ananda." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala told a man, "Come, good man, go to the Venerable Ananda and pay homage in my name with your feet at his feet, saying, 'Venerable Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala pays homage with his head at the Venerable Ananda's feet.' Then say this, 'Venerable Sir, if the Venerable Ananda has no urgent business, perhaps the Venerable Ananda would wait a moment out of compassion.' 'Yes, sire,' the man replied, and he went to the Venerable Ananda, and after paying homage to him, he stood at one side and said to the Venerable Ananda, 'Venerable Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala pays homage with his head at the Venerable Ananda's feet, and he says this, Venerable Sir, if the Venerable Ananda has no urgent business, perhaps the Venerable Ananda would wait a moment out of compassion.' The Venerable Ananda consented in silence. Then King Pasenadi went by elephant as far as the elephant could go, and then he dismounted and went to the Venerable Ananda on foot. After paying homage to him, he stood at one side and said to the Venerable Ananda, 'If, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Ananda has no urgent business, it would be good if he would go to the bank of the river Achiravati out of compassion.' The Venerable Ananda consented in silence. He went to the bank of the river Achiravati and sat down at the root of a tree on a seat made ready. Then King Pasenadi went by elephant as far as the elephant could go, and then he dismounted and went to the Venerable Ananda on foot. After paying homage to him, he stood at one side and said to the Venerable Ananda, 'Here, Venerable Sir, is an elephant rock. Let the Venerable Ananda be seated on it.' 'There is no need, great king. Sit down. I am sitting on my own mat.' Stop here for a moment. So you see, monks, the Buddha's disciples, they are contented. They have a sitting mat already. They think there's no need for a luxurious mat from the king. King Pasenadi of Kosala sat down on a seat made ready and said, 'Venerable Ananda, would the Blessed One behave with the body in such a way that he could be censured by wise recluses and Brahmins?' 'No, great king, the Blessed One would not behave with the body in such a way that he could be censured by wise recluses and Brahmins.' 'Would the Blessed One, Venerable Ananda, behave with speech and behave with mind in such a way that he could be censured by wise recluses and Brahmins?' 'No, great king, the Blessed One would not behave with speech or behave with the mind in such a way that he could be censured by wise recluses and Brahmins.' And the king said, 'It is wonderful, Venerable Sir, it is marvelous, for what we were unable to accomplish with the question has been accomplished by the Venerable Ananda with the answer to the question. We do not recognize anything of value in the praise and blame of others spoken by foolish, ignorant persons who speak without having investigated and evaluated. But we recognize as valuable the praise and blame of others spoken by wise, intelligent and sagacious persons who speak after having investigated and evaluated.'" Stop here for a moment. You can see from here that at the time of this sutta, King Pasenadi had known the Buddha not very long. So he did not yet have the strong faith in the Buddha. So he was asking the Buddha's disciple Ananda whether the Buddha could do anything wrong. to body, speech and mind, and Venerable Ananda said no. According to the commentary, this sutta, at the time of this sutta, these external ascetics, they were jealous of the Buddha and the Buddha's disciples, so they wanted to harm the Buddha's reputation. So they convinced a female wanderer, Sundari, to every night go to the Jetavana monastery, and then at dawn, the next morning, to leave the monastery and let people see that she was leaving the monastery, so that people would suspect that she is having some affair with the Buddha or something. And after people had seen this several times, then these external ascetics, they murdered her and buried her near the Jetavana monastery. So when her body was discovered, the Buddha and the monks were under suspicion that they had an affair with her and killed her, maybe because she was pregnant or what. So that's why the king asked this question, whether the Buddha would do anything wrong. And then the king said, "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is censured by wise recluses and Brahmins?" "Any bodily behavior that is unwholesome, great king." "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is unwholesome?" Any bodily behavior that is blameworthy, great king." "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is blameworthy?" "Any bodily behavior that brings affliction, great king." "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior brings affliction?" "Any bodily behavior that has painful results, great king." "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior has painful results?" "Any bodily behavior, great king, that leads to one's own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, and on account of which unwholesome states increase and wholesome states diminish. Such bodily behavior is censured by wise recluses and Brahmins, great king." "Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of verbal behavior is censured by wise recluses and Brahmins?" "Any verbal behavior that is unwholesome." Similarly, he asked what type of verbal behavior is unwholesome. And Venerable Ananda said, that which is blameworthy. And that blameworthy behavior is that which brings affliction, and affliction to the self or to others or to both. And similarly for mental behavior that is unwholesome. So these three karmas, bodily behavior, verbal behavior and mental behavior that is unwholesome, are those types of behavior that leads to the affliction of others or to affliction of oneself, or both. Now, Venerable Ananda, does the Blessed One praise only the abandoning of all unwholesome states? The Tathagata, great king, has abandoned all unwholesome states, and he possesses wholesome states. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is uncensured by wise recluses and Brahmins? Any bodily behavior that is wholesome, great king. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is wholesome? Any bodily behavior that is blameless, great king. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior is blameless? Any bodily behavior that does not bring affliction, great king. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior does not bring affliction? Any bodily behavior that has pleasant results, great king. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind of bodily behavior has pleasant results? Any bodily behavior, great king, that does not lead to one's affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, and on account of which unwholesome states diminish and wholesome states increase. Such bodily behavior, great king, is uncensured by wise recluses and Brahmins. Similarly for wholesome verbal behavior and wholesome mental behavior. So, wholesome body behavior, wholesome verbal behavior and wholesome mental behavior does not lead to the affliction of oneself or others, or both. and unwholesome states diminish, and wholesome states increase. Unwholesome states are those states of mind that give you suffering, restlessness, anger, greed, delusion, jealousy, and all that. And wholesome states are states of mind that give you happiness, like non-greed, non-anger, equanimity, etc. Now, Venerable Ananda, what kind, now Venerable Ananda, does the Blessed One praise only the undertaking of all wholesome states? The Tathagata, great king, has abandoned all unwholesome states and possesses wholesome states. And the king said, "It is wonderful, Venerable Sir, it is marvelous how well that has been expressed by the Venerable Ananda, and we are satisfied and pleased by what has been so well expressed by him. Venerable Sir, we are so satisfied and pleased with what has been so well expressed by the Venerable Ananda, that if the elephant treasure were allowed to him, we would give it to him. If the horse treasure were allowed to him, we would give it to him. If the boon of a village were allowed to him, we would give it to him. But we know, Venerable Sir, that these are not allowable for the Venerable Ananda. But there is this cloak of mine, Venerable Sir, which was sent to me, packed in a royal umbrella case by King Ajatasattu of Magadha, 16 hands long and 8 hands wide. Let the Venerable Ananda accept it out of compassion." And Venerable Ananda said, "It is not necessary, great king. My triple robe is complete." Venerable Sir, this river Achiravati has been seen both by the Venerable Ananda and by ourselves when a great cloud has rained heavily on the mountains. Then this river Achiravati overflows both its banks. So too, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Ananda can make a triple robe for himself out of this cloak, and he can share out his own triple robe among his companions in the holy life. In this way, our offering will overflow. Venerable Sir, let the Venerable Ananda accept the cloak. The Venerable Ananda accepted the cloak. Then King Parsanadi of Kosala said, "And now, Venerable Sir, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, great king, to do as you think fit." Then King Parsanadi of Kosala, having delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Ananda's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Venerable Ananda, keeping him on his right, he departed. And soon after he had left, the Venerable Ananda went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side, related to him his entire conversation with King Parsanadi of Kosala, and presented the cloak to the Blessed One. Then the Blessed One addressed the monks. "It is a gain, monks, for King Parsanadi of Kosala. It is a great gain for King Parsanadi of Kosala that he has had the opportunity of seeing and paying respect to Ananda." That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. It's the end of the sutta. So here the king Parsanadi, being new to the Dhamma, he did not understand so well what is meant by wholesome karma and unwholesome karma. So Venerable Ananda explained to him so clearly that he was so pleased. He said if Venerable Ananda could accept an elephant, he would offer him an elephant or a horse or even a village. But he knows these are not allowable. So he offered a piece of cloth to the Venerable Ananda, very good quality cloth sent to him by King Ajatasattu. But Venerable Ananda, during the Buddha's time, the monks were only allowed one set of robes. One set of robes is called the triple robe. This is the upper robe, then the lower robe, the sabong, and then the double layer one, the sangati. Only three, one set is allowed. So he didn't want to accept the cloth. But this king pleaded with him a second time, so out of compassion, he accepted, and then went to the Buddha and offered it to the Buddha. And then you see the Buddha praised this Venerable Ananda. He said it's a great gain for King Parsanadi to have had the opportunity of seeing and paying respect to Ananda. Ananda is one of the monks, even at the time, even though at the time of the Buddha, he was only a Sotapanna, he had not attained Arahanthood yet. Yet the Buddha says it's difficult to find somebody with wisdom like Ananda. The Buddha had great regard for this Venerable Ananda. Okay.